If you've ever seen a fish that looks like it has a giant bump on its head and thought, "Why does that exist?" You're not alone. That fish is called the flowerhorn, and its oversized forehead is one of the strangest features in the aquarium world. It looks unnatural, almost unbelievable, yet it's completely real. So where did it come from and why is it so big? Let's break it down simply and clearly, right here on History of Simple Things. Before we talk about the forehead, we need to understand the fish itself. The flowerhorn is not a natural species found swimming freely in rivers or lakes. It is a man-made hybrid created in the late 20th century by fish breeders, mainly in Southeast Asia. These breeders crossed several types of Central American cichlids, including fish like the Midas cichlid and the red devil cichlid, along with a few others known for their aggression, size, and strong physical features. The goal was not scientific or ecological, it was visual. Breeders wanted a fish that looked powerful, confident, colorful, and dominant. Over time, one feature stood out more than any other: the bulging forehead. Once people noticed it, they began deliberately breeding fish that showed larger and rounder humps. That single choice changed everything. Despite how extreme it looks, the flowerhorn's forehead is not bone, and it is definitely not the brain pushing outward. The hump is made of a mix of fat tissue, water, muscle, and connective tissue. It's soft and flexible rather than hard, and it can change in size depending on the fish's condition. Many cichlid species naturally develop small nuchal humps, especially males. In flowerhorns, however, this feature has been dramatically enlarged through selective breeding. What was once a subtle bump became a defining trait. So while the hump looks dramatic and heavy, it's more like a biological cushion than a solid structure. Long before flowerhorns existed, their ancestor species already had a reason for developing forehead humps. In the wild, cichlids are highly territorial fish. Males compete fiercely for space, dominance, and mating opportunities. A larger hump made a fish appear bigger, stronger, and more intimidating to rivals. That visual signal mattered. A prominent hump told other fish that this individual was healthy, dominant, and not worth challenging. Females were also more likely to choose males with larger humps, because those humps suggested strong genetics and good overall health. Originally, the forehead had nothing to do with humans at all. It was communication, fish talking to fish without making a sound. When breeders began noticing that some fish naturally developed larger humps than others, they started pairing those fish together. Generation after generation, they selected individuals with rounder, taller, and more noticeable foreheads. Over time, the hump stopped being just a secondary feature and became the main attraction. Humans didn't invent the hump, but they exaggerated it. This is similar to how dogs were bred to have shorter snouts, longer ears, or extra wrinkles. The difference is that this transformation happened underwater, and relatively quickly. The flowerhorn is living proof of how human preferences can shape an animal's appearance in dramatic ways. Not all flowerhorns look the same, and not all of them develop massive foreheads. Genetics play the biggest role. Fish that come from bloodlines specifically bred for hump size are much more likely to develop large foreheads. Sex also matters, because males almost always develop larger humps than females, who may have only a small bump or none at all. Age is another factor. Many flowerhorns don't show a dramatic hump when they're young. The forehead often becomes more pronounced as the fish matures. Health and nutrition are equally important because a well-fed fish with proper care is more likely to develop a full, rounded hump. Finally, environment plays a major role. Stress, poor water quality, or cramped tanks can slow or even reduce hump growth. In that sense, the forehead becomes a visible reflection of the fish's living conditions. Is the forehead a sign of intelligence? This is one of the most common misconceptions. The giant forehead makes the flowerhorn look thoughtful, almost as if it's constantly deep in concentration. However, the hump itself does not indicate intelligence. That said, flowerhorns are genuinely intelligent fish. They can recognize their owners, respond to movement outside the tank, learn feeding routines, and display strong individual personalities. Their intelligence comes from the brain inside the skull, not the hump sitting above it. The forehead simply gives them an unusually expressive look. Can the forehead change over time? Yes, and this surprises many people. A flowerhorn's hump is not fixed in size. It can grow during breeding periods, shrink under stress, or change based on diet and overall health. If a fish becomes sick or poorly cared for, the hump can visibly deflate. Because of this, experienced keepers often see the forehead as a health indicator. A full, rounded hump usually suggests the fish is thriving, while a shrinking one can signal that something is wrong. So why does the flowerhorn have a giant forehead? It exists because its ancestors used forehead humps for dominance and mating, because humans selectively bred that trait to extremes, because biology allowed it to grow, and because environment determines how large it becomes. That forehead isn't random. It's a story written over generations, shaped by evolution, behavior, and human curiosity. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.